in agility, there are a couple of key components. They're behaviors that you gotta have. You can't do agility without them. And one of them is your dog's gotta come back when you call him. So most of the time when I ask new people, does your dog have a good recall? They'll tell me, yeah. And what I'm looking for is, oh yeah, I've worked really hard on that. He's got a good recall. He can come off of food. He can come off of people. He can come off of dogs. So that's the difference between a response from somebody who's put some effort into getting their dog to come back, or their dog is particularly attached to them, or they've got a dog that loves the tennis ball sometimes. So those dogs are coming back most of the time, not all of the time. The dogs that have been systematically trained to respond to the recall, those are the dogs where the handler's like, yeah, put the work in. So I have a few different ways to get a dog to come back to me for different situations, and I'm going to teach them all to you. The important thing for you to remember is all of the ways should earn what we call reinforcement. You're going to hear that all the time. Reinforcement just means some loving, something wonderful, a cookie or a toy, a reward. I want you to learn that when you're rewarding your dog with a piece of food or a toy, that you are giving your smile and your heart and your voice and maybe your hands to your dog as well. So that you're making an association with you and that reward every time. It'll be an ongoing thing. Don't worry, you're going to get plenty of associating yourself with your reward. So with the recall, I start working with the dogs when they're very young, and you can start all of these projects right now today. These projects are not meant to get this one perfect, then do this one, then do this one. They're going to be used in different situations, and I'm going to explain it to you. So what I do when my dogs are young is I start giving them all of these different pictures depending on the circumstance that I'm in. Let me explain. So one is, hey, I'm on planet Earth. And that's just noticing every single time my dog notices me. So I see people at the parks all the time, and the dog will check back and say, do you care that I'm going to go over here? And the owner's drinking their Starbucks, or they're chatting with the other dog owners, and the dog goes, guess not. And then they go do something that's either acceptable or not. But that owner missed a really key point to say to that dog, I love it when you check in. When you check in with me, that's super cool. So when I'm out and about with my dogs for their entire lives, guys, this isn't some little seed that gets planted and then never watered and never cultivated. It is a behavior that I want to grow and prune and make bigger and better through the dog's whole life. So when I'm out walking around and my dogs go, you still care about me? I'm like, yeah, baby, good job. Love it when you check in with me. So that's one little project. Anytime your dog looks back and says, are you still on planet Earth? You say, yeah, I'm still here, and I'm watching you too. We're still working even though we're doing our own thing. The other one is the I hope you come routine. And this one is what most people do way too much. So the I hope you come routine has a limit. That's the main thing for you to know. The I hope you come routine is what I do with baby puppies. And what I'm really doing them is teaching them to come to the sound of my voice. And I don't want to use that word come or hear until some of these other projects are a little bit further along, because I'm afraid my dog won't respond to the come or the hear. And every single time my dog hears those words and chooses to do something else, that would only be for one reason. The only reason the dog would choose to do something else is because he's not trained well enough. That's the only reason. He's not blowing you off. He's not mad. He doesn't hate you. He just isn't trained well enough, no matter how much training you think you did. So I want to make that point. So the I hope you come routine is when they're puppies, and mine sounds like this. And that's how I get an 8-week-old puppy to come to me. And that's my I hope you come routine. Now, if my puppy ignores that, it's like, yeah, she sounds like she's excited, but I'm doing this more fun thing. I'm not going to keep doing it. You guys, the last thing I want to do with my recall is two things actually. And that is teach the dog how to ignore me. And that's exactly what is happening when you're trying to get your dog to come and they are ignoring you. The dog is going, note to self. When she's doing that, and I've got something really interesting, it's okay to ignore that because that's exactly what is happening. That's the dog's experience at that moment. That's his lesson. Whether you want it to be or not, that is the lesson. So that's one thing. The other thing is, if I've truly lost control, if I don't have control over it anymore, the last thing I want to do is advertise it to the dog. Why would I keep proving to the dog that I don't have control over them? Now clearly I'm talking about my dog is off leash and has chosen something more enticing than I am. I want to be the enticing thing all the time, and we're going to work hard and you're going to learn how to be really important to your dog so that they're choosing you and choosing your rewards over other things in life. But let's face it, there are things in the world that are going to be more valuable to your dog at given times. So what you don't want to do is continue to advertise that you've lost control. What I'm talking about is cutting your losses. If you've done the I hope you come routine, come on baby, hey baby, I'm leaving, bye. You've all done it and the dog isn't responding. I don't know guys, 20 seconds tops, I would cut my losses and go get the dog. The next recall game that I play is the name game. The name game is super important. What I want you to remember about playing the name game is you are going to say your dog's name in a certain inflection. You're going to say the dog's name in the inflection that you would use on the agility course and on the beach. So let me explain. What I'll get in my classes when we're working on the name game is the student will be going, Fido, 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 and associating that dog's name with the cookie, just like I wanted them to. But then they're at the beach and they're going, Fido, or they're on the agility class going, Fido, Fido. And that Fido and Fido doesn't sound anything like Fido, 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 Fido. So your voice inflection is important. It's a really big deal in my training system. We're going to be talking about it all the time in the classes, that your commands need to sound a certain way. You already know this. You already know you can't say, you're a really bad, bad, bad dog. And you know you can't say, good dog, good dog. And not have your dog get those messages mixed up because of your voice inflection. So this is nothing new. You know how to talk to your dog to get him all tail waggy. You know how to say, there's my boy, da-ba-da-ba-ba-boo. But you also know what they look like if you say, hey, what are you doing? So you already know how important voice inflection is. So we're going to capitalize that in your training, especially on your recall. So again, it's not going to sound mean. It's going to sound emphatic. Fido, Fido. And even if you're right there in the kitchen paying, it will be Fido, Fido. And you can play with your inflections. Do it while you're driving the car. Figure out how you're going to sound at the beach and on the agility field. Then we've got what I call the real deal. That's what I used to call the formal recall. That is when you say Fido here or Fido come, and the dog spins and bolts towards you as fast as he can, no matter what else is happening. That is a systematically step-by-step trained recall. The other recall games build up to that. They can all be trained systematically, but your real deal recall is going to be protected so that you're working systematically on leash, off leash, in certain environments where you have success and you know that you're following more of a recipe. The one thing I want you to remember about your recall and all of these games, they are all reinforceable, meaning all of them get paid. So if you're playing the name game without food, you're not going to have the recall that you could have. If you're playing the I hope you come routine and you don't pay, reward is what pay means, fast responses, or if you're not acknowledging your dog with a check-in. So if your dog checks in on a hike and you say, good dog, that's it, and your dog runs over and says, pay me, you're not gonna say, no, I just wanted you to check in. I'm not gonna. You're gonna pay. You got more for your buck than you bargained for. And don't be stingy with the rewards. Do I ever go out without cookies on my super trained superstar dog? Heck no. Because when my dog does a miraculous recall off a squirrel, off a deer, he is going to get the reward that I set up the deal. I set up a deal when they were young. You pay attention, you interact with me, you learn my system of communication, and you'll get rewarded. I put myself in there before the cookie. I'm telling them how great they are the whole way in. One other tip on your recall, real important. On all of these games, you are rewarding the decision to turn. This is something else I see at the parks all the time, guys. The dog is messing about, the owner calls, and the dog will go, you talking to me? You talking to me? And the owner just stands there like a bump on the log. Yeah. Yes, I'm talking to you, baby. Good dog. Woo, 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 woo. And I am sounding like that the whole way in. So I'm praising, acknowledging, getting excited about that decision to turn. The dog's decision to turn, even if he turns and stops for a second. Now you're gonna say, well, what if he turns and looks at me and I go, oh yeah, baby, and he goes, I still don't know if it's worth coming. If you keep cheerleading, you're praising him freezing on you. And this is again where you cut your losses. Good dog trainers know when to cut their losses. You gave it the college try, you praised the decision to turn, he didn't take the bait, he stuck there, don't keep praising. Just go get him and know you need more work on your recall, you need more work on your name game, you need more work on I hope you come routine. If you say to yourself, I'm not gonna pay the I hope you come routine because it's not a real recall, you're just going to diminish your chances of having that super great recall that you need for agility and you need for the beach.